Welcome to this segment of Soul, Silence, and Sound. This is brought to you by BeSimply.
Stars, trees, clouds, and the moon. They all have a meaning and they look just like you.
Welcome to the segment of Soul, Silence, and Sound. This is Susanna. I want to thank you all for being here today. We'll be diving into a little Dharma talk, Suzanne style, some silent meditation with undertones by Random Rab, and then a sound healing journey by me. And then we'll exit out with an outro and Kadri Scott. So before we dive in to the crux of the Dharma talk, is where I want to remind us where we are, if you're listening to this real time, is that we just are midpoint on the full moon in the summer season and winter season here. And so as we finish out this cycle, remember we're at that midpoint, and this is a time of action and forward motion. And just imagine it just moving into a momentum, but then it's going to kind of taper out as we come into the new moon cycle. So you can just imagine yourself as a little kid when you would ride down hills and feel like, woo, a lot of momentum. And then you coast into that new moon. And ideally, that's what would happen for all of us. And prior to that new moon is the time to build up nourishment, slow things down. And so we are at the top of the hill and we're ready to go down and ride it easy into the next lunar cycle. And what's happening here on planet Earth right now is, as this new moon cycle is going to be welcoming us into the grounding period of late summer, we are still working on our heart and joy, and also really taking a pause, if you will, as you move into action, to think about what is your secret sauce and how you want to move through life. And this is some, some woo speak would be like your intention, what you want to hold. But it's easy enough to say words, but embodying those words is a practice. And so at this threshold, we are entering anew. And for many people, they are at a gateway of a new chapter in life. They really have like a drive now to move into that new chapter, to really actualize what they want. And some of you have been held in a holding pattern, as I would call it, circling LAX for a while. And now it's time for that alchemical shift for you. And if you're on a good flow rate with what you've been creating, because we're all at different rhythms and flows in life, it's still wonderful at this full moon, to really anchor into how you want to show up and keep it simple and practice that. You don't want to have like 1,000 sentiments. Just keep it really simple. And that way that's your secret sauce that you're feeding in to all things that you create. And so what we want to do with whatever that is, you can even pause for a moment and think about it. It can be an adjective, it can be an emotion, it can be something that you can't even put into words, but you've experienced before. And it's really present when you're in a flow state with what you're doing. As we are at a collective threshold for humanity, and it's anew is the word I wrote down before I started recording this, is that we want to anchor in the anew. And anytime, if you think about in your life when you've had a shift in maybe your awareness, maybe you're moving, maybe you have a new job, maybe you have a new relationship, there's oftentimes this sense of how you want to meet that if you have awareness. And so collectively in your subconscious, you have the opportunity to every single day do this. But right now with the full moon here today is really to create anew and say, okay, I always want to be blank. This is your Mad Libs for the day. I always want to meet all situations with blank. And that's what you want to start to anchor it in. And like I said, keep it simple. You don't need to have 50 words. You don't need to have an essay in your journal. Just keep it simple. And it might be, I'll give you a couple examples. I want to meet the ANEW with kindness, humility, love, peace, something like that. Very simple. And preferably go back and think, when I'm in my flow state, meaning that you're doing something, space is all that exists. You drop in and everything feels magical and fluid. Think about what resonance is in and around you, because that's your secret sauce. And you can do your Mad Libs that way. So I'm going to approach this anew. I'm going to anchor it in with blank. And then the second part of this full moon, as we're riding our bike down that big hill and going, woohoo, hands off the handlebars and sometimes maybe our feet for a moment. And you're going to enter into celebration. And that celebration is meant to reflect on the things in life that provide you joy. And not something that you have to grasp for, something not even that you have to even go to the store for or, have a big plan for. It's the things that bring you joy and levity in your heart that you can find anywhere in and around where you are in this present moment. And nature is such a blessing. Mother Nature just gives us this plethora of beauty everywhere we go. And that can help you with the idea of celebration. And so when you take this pause in this moment, or when you're able to think about this a little further, you'll start to feel into those things. And oftentimes what happens of celebration is that one denies self the things that one enjoys. And this can be for many reasons. This can be because of the dialogue you have going on the inside. Everything may not be exactly how you want it. You feel like you need to have this, this, and this in order to be able to do that. You hold back. And really every single day, there can be something to celebrate that brings you joy. And then that joy is a much different ripple coupled with your secret sauce. And if it's joy and joy, it's joy squared. But it's just to understand that there's this ability to serve up life with these elements that will ripple in everything that you touch. And that's why I've used this analogy many times over. If you go to a restaurant and you have a really loving and happy chef, you will feel it in the food, and it takes on a whole different level, even if it's like the most basic ingredients that you could ever imagine. So that care that comes from you, only you can hold that. And that celebration is really a powerful way to finish nourishing out our heart energy and our sacral energy for those of our brothers and sisters in the Southern Hemisphere. Both are connected. When the mother creates the child, she is feeding from these two energy centers, her heart and her womb. And that's why we're in this beautiful dance right now, opposing one another with fire and water. We have this opportunity to be in this dance, the sacred dance, internally with ourselves. And then that ripples out from there. So if inspired, just take a moment. You can pause this here for a second and just really anchor in like, okay, we're at this new threshold. And what do I want to celebrate? And where do I want to lead? And so that's the next part of this, is that creation, sometimes when we go to create something, anything, could be your breakfast, it may not come out the way you thought. And this is also that moment to be like, okay, I have the opportunity to reapproach something that I started to create, or I have the opportunity to set it down and see what emerges from there, what inspiration emerges from there. And as you give yourself permission to do this, you will be surprised at what might happen. And these attachments that we have where we hold on to maybe something that we're building or creating and it's not flowing the way we want it, and we finally surrender and say that thy will be done, set it down for a bit, or finally lay it to rest, something else is destined to emerge. And that can be why there is a lull. There's been space for a lot of people. I've been observing it with my clients. They've been in a holding pattern and something new's to emerge. And what happens when one gets in a holding pattern, it can create a little bit of uneasiness or friction. Yet if one is present with that space, the ability to welcome in something new is much more effortless. Now, remember, I've shared that we have destined mile markers and space in between to apply your free will. And so those destined moments will arise, and sometimes the cause and effect, your karma, the outcome of the moment, will also play into those mile markers, but also play into how you choose to meet your free will. Ideally, we're meeting our free will with awareness. We're meeting it with mindfulness, meaning you're aware of what's going on. You make a mindful choice on how you want to show up. Again, that's your secret sauce. Even if you're going through strife, and let's say your word is, I want to meet everything with divine love. So you meet everything with divine love, even when you're in hardship. And so as you do that, that will be more supportive of the transition. And if you're building right now, that will be supportive and make whatever you're creating, on a small basis and a larger basis, really anchored in your higher expression. And that free will, then, imagine you're lifting yourself up as you dance with your free will until you meet your next significant mile marker. So there are only so many giant mile markers you have in your life. Sometimes they're beautiful achievements. Sometimes they are devastating moments, but they are huge growth moments and transformation moments. So if you can keep a cadence like a marathon runner or an ultra marathon runner, this will allow you to conserve your resources, and it'll allow you to be your best when you meet each one of those mile markers. And so at this threshold, we have this quantum field opening up with a whole new set of mile markers. And I will say that because I've contemplated this many times over throughout this lifetime and probably many others, there's, this idea that there's fixed points, but I know from my skill sets there are fixed points, and it always kind of boggles my mind because of my ability to see beyond, and when it arrives, it's confirmation. Now, there's no time, so most people look at a linear timetable, but that's not how the quantum field works. So there is the possibility that one might, let's say, liberate something within themselves. And then I would say maybe that's when a cosmic play rewrite happens. And so there's so many factors that are happening over and over again that if we have our awareness until we meet those destined mile markers, we can really utilize those resources, and the most valuable one is your precious energy. So you're not getting caught up in the dramas and all the things that life can pull us in many different directions by jumping on technology, by getting caught up in gossip or small talk or worrying about other people's business. You just create more space for yourself, that you'll have more time to celebrate the things that you love, engage with the things that you love, and really practice embodying that essence that you want to feed into everything. And people can say a lot of words, but remember that everything is a frequency. And this is how, if you spend time in nature, nature will mirror back. They can feel and sense, not through words, not through syntax, not through the English language or any other spoken language. They feel it through energetics. And more, that veil has gotten thinner and thinner. And so the feeling of those energetics, those is getting stronger and stronger. And then the opportunity to practice holding the frequency that you want to infuse into all that you do. And once you master one, let's say that maybe you're a person that wants to master kindness. Once you've mastered that so much that it's second nature, that'll be fed in. And then you might be able to weave in or start practicing to weave in a level of peace or a level of equanimity. And then, you work on that. Now, sometimes our attention waxes and wanes and you may forget, but that's why you want to really keep focusing and bringing that energy in to all that you do, especially from the inside out. Because when you treat yourself well, whatever you might have the essence, then you'll feel more certain of yourself. You'll feel confident in what you do. You won't rely on external people, places, and things to give you kudos or accolades. You will have such a deep knowing in your strengths and what you are focused on building and creating. Now, as we go into celebration, the reason this is so important in the creation process is that if we're coming out of a paradigm where stress and domination and oppression are still being, but have been used to create, which is not really natural. It's not organic, and it doesn't allow the activation of the imagination. And so these systems that are in place right now that we're being told we have to use, what will happen is one will lose interest in them. Like if any of you have kids out there, or we all were kids, you got a toy and it held your attention for so long, and then you were done with it. It ended up in the pile in the closet, and you didn't have an interest in it. And part of that is because it wasn't interfacing with your organic system, one that could keep activating your imagination. AI and artificial anything is only going to have a certain lifespan because it will go through entropy and it doesn't interface properly with this organic system. And so that's the lesson that the technology companies will have to learn. If I were any of you, I would start working on terrestrial products ASAP, because people aren't really going to be utilizing this, especially your younger generations. And I know many institutes have all transferred over to this, but it's okay. I would always say when I was on the drafting boards, it'll go faster the second time. So, and we could put old systems in place that really didn't have a problem with, and they work just fine. So all of this unnecessary spinning of energy rapidly and using up natural resources is really going to see its day of reckoning. So now, why the celebration helps it versus utilizing something artificial is that it keeps you in a very beginner's mind, as we would say in the Tao. It keeps you in this innocent place where you can imagine that the stick becomes the car, or that the leaves falling down feel like rain, but they're leaves, but you can still imagine that you're in a rainstorm. And something really beautiful happens in there because the mind gets to engage in ways that one can't even imagine. And so if you're droning out in front of television or movies or your phone, you're limiting yourself from having this natural interface. Because let's say a stick, a flower, all of these things have an energetic resonance and a life force in them that can have a conversation with you. In artificial means, you're only having a conversation with yourself and potentially a body of beings that do not have your best interests in mind and want to just steal your precious imaginations. They want to steal your aspects of your eternal being for who knows what, but that will have their own feedback loop. They are responsible for that cause and the effect. So rather than spend too much time in those spaces, you want to really make sure that you're celebrating the things that feed you, that they really feed you. And that is all in the outdoors. It might be a book. And it's not to say to our movie creators out there that do it in the most artful and beautiful way that those don't serve, but the ones that are meant to put people in a trance and mind control, those do not serve. And so we're going to see this beautiful metamorphosis that happens as we are at this threshold. So with all that being said, one, I'll keep it simple here to close this part out, is throughout the next few days, really think about the essence that you want to anchor in at this moment, in this solar cycle, in this lunar cycle, what you want to anchor in, what your essence is, that you really feel like you want to deepen. And even if you think you're peaceful, do you want to deepen it further? And then what are the things that you want to celebrate on a daily basis from the inside in your microcosm to really fill up your cup even more, so that ultimately you will be more adept, you will be more generous, and you will receive more, because you'll be in this dynamic flow of receiving these things that you need and want internally. And then you'll have more creative impetus to put into your great work, into your family life, into your relationships. And it will be this beautiful, generous receiving and giving dance. And you will be in a beautiful play moment with yourself, the Leela of life. And bit by bit, all the things that have been occupying our mind, those energies will have no place in your mind. And that's why it's important to stay out of fear, to stay out of doubt, to stay in love, to celebrate, and to hold compassion for the people that need your support. If you have a happy, full heart, you'll have more to give those people that are in need. So we're going to go into our silent meditation. If you're not sitting up, I welcome you to come up into an upright seated position. If your mind is busier in this moment, I just welcome you to come up, up, up. Lift your spinal column up. Drop your shoulders down once you're there. And then a soft gaze at a focal point. This will help the mind quiet, especially after listening to me chat for a bit. And then gently from there, take a nice deep breath in. And out. Again, inhale. And exhale. Again, inhale. And exhale. And then gently from there, just observe your natural breathing pattern, keeping your eyes on the focal point. If your mind is quieter, feel free to close your eyes.
Space between vision, space between vision, space space between, a space between. space between. Envision a space between. space between, space between. Space between, space between, space between. Space between. Space between, space between. space between, space space between, envision, space between the space between the space between space between the space between. A space between. A space between. Space between. A space between. Space between.
And gently from there, I welcome you to gently lean back and recline or move fully into Shavasana, a prone position on your back with your palms facing upward as we transition into receiving sound. As you settle in, just take a nice gentle breath into the heart and out. Again, inhale. And exhale. One more inhale. And exhale. And then continue to follow your natural breathing pattern.
Adono aneveyai Adeye aniram Ado aneyai Ado aniram Ado ahai Adeye ahum Ado ahayaram Adeye ahai Adeye ahai
Gently from there, bringing a gentle breath in and out. Again, inhale. And exhale. Good. One more inhale. And exhale. And as you continue to breathe in and out, just return your awareness to your surroundings and my speaking voice. And gently from there, I welcome you to take a moment to express silent gratitude for all aspects of yourself. Taking another deep breath in and out. Again, inhale. And exhale. And then gently from there, just welcoming you into a new threshold, and remembering that every day is a brand new day. That every day is like a full annual cycle. It's a full lunar cycle. Every single day is this. And so if you remember this, it makes it a little bit more effortless to get into the practice of sweeping your space clean of what you've met in the present moment, And then it gives you more freedom as you start the next day and the next day. And so as you practice that, I want you to really hone in on one essence that you would like to feed into all that you do. And please make sure it's for the benefit of all. If you're in a space where you can't do that, please reach out. I'll help you find that so you can start working at that to lift you out of where you might be. And then from there, start to feel into the things that you are overjoyed with, where you're so excited when you get to participate in that. And even if it's you do that on a daily basis and it's lost its excitement, then that's the time to, again, approach it from a beginner's mind. Approach it like a child, like they're like, wow, just like they see it for the first time. Celebrate life. Every moment is precious. And by building that way with your essence that you want to master, embodying, and then really being aware to celebrate the things, and celebrate it in an appropriate amount based on the set and setting you're in, but you can have fun with it too. And from there, that is going to lift you up in so many beautiful ways that it'll expand, and that ripple will be one that's beneficial to all. So may all of this give you something to contemplate as you go through the rest of this lunar cycle, as you ride that bicycle down the hill and ease into the new moon that will be coming. And that's a very grounding. So make sure also that you prepare yourself to nourish yourself in about a week or so as you lead into the next new moon. And there's many new discoveries about the moon that the moon is moons has been playing with. And so pay attention to what you see in the sky and what speaks to you and what's revealed to you. Those shifts will also help us with this new passage that we are all embarking on together in real time. So without further ado, I want to thank you all for being here in this moment. I want to thank Random Rab, Dante Marino, Kadri Scott. Please celebrate the arts. Please go and do whatever you can for these three or anyone that you love and support. We really are going to benefit from celebrating and supporting all expressions of art, ones that are made by humans for humans. And any of the aliens out there you can enjoy too, but it's not for you to co-op. You gotta learn how to be creative on your own. All right, this is Suzanne signing out with a big smile, a gentle bow, and a full heart, and a namaste. Be simply.